And also my thoughts on the ECW invasion in 1997 on Raw. Now, I'm pretty sure I've probably touched on this in the past too, but that was one of my favorite Raws ever. One of my favorite Raws because almost the whole roster was overseas on tour. There was only a few guys there. I think Undertaker was there, but Brett and Austin and Shawn or anybody else that was around at the time, they were all out of the country. And they went back to the Manhattan Center for this show, which is a venue that holds fucking 500 people maybe. They went back to the old theme and atmosphere of Raw, what it used to be when it started, and it actually resembled the current atmosphere and theme of ECW. So WCW is breathing down Vince's neck at the time. I mean, he's fucking hurting in the ratings already as it is. I think they were paying Paulie on the side for using some of his talent anyway, so they decided to bring them in to beef up the roster a little bit for 1 week. And that combined with a big Undertaker promo and the return of the Legion of Doom on that show too, which is another big thing that happened in the WWE. I mean, the excitement and the match quality as it rates up to all the greatest Raws of all time, it probably doesn't match up at all, but I just loved the feel of it and I remember it and it was just a great time. It was just really cool to see. You know, at the time I was so fucking anti-WCW. You know, I would watch Nitro. I really wasn't a big fan of Hogan or any fucking old overpaid guy, but you know, there was no denying their roster and their talent's ability. It's kind of like TNA. You know, I'd love when somebody sends me a good TNA match between two guys, you know, as long as I don't have to listen to stupid-ass fucking announcers or whatever the hell TNA's plugging, you know, and I watch just the action in the ring and judge it from that, it's fantastic 9 times out of 10. And before WCW would build to their main events, their undercards on the show, even though they made no storyline sense, were great in-ring action, great matches. A lot of times their feuds wouldn't last long or they wouldn't make sense or it was just really, really hard to keep track of it and they were very, very poor at, you know, furthering the fans along and kind of holding their hand through it where the WWE was very thorough and all of their storylines. You go back and just watch the way the two shows were produced, Raw and Nitro, you know, you as a fan you felt kept up to speed on Raw because WWE has always been fanatic about replays. They fucking tell you a replay, then after the commercial they show the exact same segment almost in its entirety again to you. They make sure that you see it, and then if you didn't see it, you see it, and then you see it again, and then you see it one more time just to be safe. And although that can be annoying, the WWE always makes sure the fan knows what's going on. So WCW and Nitro's undercard talent roster was really the only thing that interested me about WCW, and I loved to watch those guys work. But I was still very much against WCW's company as a whole. So when I saw ECW and WWF join forces, I was like, holy shit, that's exactly what they need. It's too bad they didn't stick with it longer. It only lasted one show. I think RVD worked a couple of Raws, and then from there, you know, there was more mention of WWF on ECW than the other way around, and it became, you know, they didn't really touch it again until a few years later. But at least you knew where Paulie's alliance was, if he was going to ever side with the two big giants that he has no chance of competing against. You know, if he got that can't beat him, join him type attitude, which one are you going to join? You know, of course he's smart. Of course he's going to go with Vince and the company that's been there longer. Where Bischoff and all of his billions of Ted's money treated Paul Heyman like shit, Vince McMahon, who was probably struggling financially at the time, was paying the guy on the side just for taking his talent. Vince is an evil prick that disrespects pro wrestling constantly, but he still does have a little bit of respect in him as a man, and he always just he's fair. I don't know how things are. It's fucking 2012. The WWE's fucking upside down in my eyes compared to the way it used to be, you know, but the old Vince was very, very fair. And even if they were fucking going check to check and month to month, he would still find a way to pay you, and he never had those issues like Heyman had and like other guys have had.